Hey there, Alan here, coming to you on Saturday, March 28th. It's Saturday morning. It's still in the mid-20s and there's a little light snow falling outside, and I'm getting tired of it. I'm in southeast Idaho. The weather was warmer in late February than it is now in late March, but it is what it is. I want to talk with you about RV travel while the coronavirus is impacting our nation. There are people out there traveling by RV, and the coronavirus is very much impacting our nation. So this is a very topical topic, very current, and I'm going to share thoughts that, in a way, I'm talking to myself because I'm thinking about hooking up the fifth wheel to which I'm sitting in, very comfortable in right now, and I'm in a good, safe location. And I'm thinking about traveling to some other spots, and I have a reason for doing it actually. I'm looking to spend the spring and summer back in store RV sales in Cheyenne, Wyoming. So at some point I got to get over there. Cheyenne from here is probably the better part of a 8 to 10 hour drive with the camper connected to my truck. Forgive me as I check my notes as I share this with you, because I got points that I want to make sure I cover this morning with you. Couple of things that I'm thinking about that I know you'd probably want to think about too. If you're somewhere safe, why would you leave? Because some of the thoughts that go to my mind are, if you get sick en route, how will you fare at your new destination? I know that a couple of the destinations that I'm looking at are dry or semi-dry camping. There'd be electric, but there wouldn't be water, because I'm looking at state parks in South Dakota and Wyoming and Nebraska, all of which at this moment are still open and anticipate remaining open. Note the key word there, anticipate. But when I arrive, the most I would have is electric. Dumping I'm not too worried about. That's always accessible somewhere. Water is a little bit of an issue. If you are under normal circumstances, I mean, in my camper, I got an 82-gallon fresh water tank, so that's one of the reasons I bought this thing. But if you get sick, I don't know if rationing water is the idea that you want to have to encounter. So it's something to think about. Another question is, will your campground be open? And again, I'm calling up in advance to these state parks and, following this day by day. And I'm kind of waiting at least 3-4 more days to see where things go in terms of the ramp up in coronavirus or COVID case numbers as they develop, and realize it's a lot more widespread than what the maps show. And I'm gonna have this post up at rvacrossamerica.net/travel thoughts. All right, rvacrossamerica.net/travel thoughts. I'll have a map up there where you can check and see what the reported COVID or coronavirus incidents are. It's a real-time map. It adjusts with time, and frankly, I am tracking to see what's going on in the Cheyenne area, because if I see an explosion in cases, it may impact my decision to go there. Probably will impact my decision. And realize, though, as I started to say, that the map is only reporting people who have been tested. There are, from all indications, a lot of people walking around with real low-level symptoms or no symptoms at all. And for those folks, they may very well be positive, but they're not in the count. So realize it's probably a lot more widespread than we know, and only you can make the call whether or not it's a good idea. I mentioned a moment ago, will the campground be open? Well, I just watched a real quick video from the CEO of KOA, Campgrounds of America. And KOA, their website is koa.com. I've got it linked on my post. KOA has a quick link on their post on their site to the KOAs, and they're all over the place. They're all over America, and that's good, because they have a link to the KOAs that have been forced to close. Now, we know there are some KOAs that are not open because of seasonal issues. In other words, for example, Snake River KOA over just south of Jackson Hole, I don't think they normally open until May 1st. But for the KOAs that would normally be open, there's a list there of KOAs that have closed, and that's of value to you for two reasons. Number one, if you're a KOA camper, you can use that information directly. If you're not a KOA camper, you can find out where there are states that have enacted very active restrictions, some of which come to mind might be Oklahoma, interestingly. I believe California and Oregon, but again, check me on that. Do not take anything I say right here as gospel on where campgrounds are open or being closed. Check for yourself. So that KOA link will probably be very helpful to you because, hey, if you're not a KOA camper, in a worst case, you could still stay at a KOA as long as you know there's one in that area and it's open. And that'll tell you. Here's some other considerations that I'm thinking about before I unstake my skirt and get rid of my propane tank and take off to go somewhere. How will you be received by locals in the area that you're going to? What medical services are available at the new location? Now, speaking for myself, my first line of attack on medical services, because I am a Medishare member, and that's something that I'd encourage you to reach out, contact me. Again, on my site, you'll find the contact me info. And again, the post is at rvacrossamerica.net/travel thoughts. Because I'm a Medishare member, I have free access to telemedicine. So I could be on the phone with a doctor and find out what they think. And they are authorized to write prescriptions. So I could be in the middle of nowhere, contact a doctor as long as I've got internet access. And I do that through my Verizon and AT&T accounts, very frankly. And they can call the nearest pharmacy and place a prescription for me. I am also kind of holding back, waiting to see what the early results are from the trials in New York State, since I understand the president authorized hydroxychloroquine to be released to New York State and administered as early as this past Tuesday. And we're now, I guess, into day 5 of patients receiving that medicine. I'm hoping that by early next week, we're talking about the end of March, early April, we're going to know what its effect is as it's been administered. And it's already been approved by the FDA for what they call off-label use, meaning that it's a well-known drug. It's a well-tolerated drug by most people. It has serious side effects, but if you read up on it, you'll find out if it's used as directed under a physician's supervision, it's well-tolerated by most people. It's used for malaria and lupus and some other conditions. It's been approved for off-label use, meaning that if you are symptomatic with COVID-19 or the coronavirus, as it's also known, it's known by some other names too, it is something that they could write right now, and I'm hoping that by early next week we're going to have a lot more data in than the peer-reviewed study out of France and the anecdotal study out of southeastern New York by a doctor there. So hydroxychloroquine is definitely something that is in my mind saying, well, look, if you really did get sick, here's something that in all probability will be of great value to helping you get better. In traveling, avoid the hotspots. And again, I've got a link to the map that I alluded to earlier on my site. Avoid tourist areas, national parks. I mean, Yellowstone and Grand Teton National Park aren't even open yet. They wouldn't normally be. But there are national parks that are open, and there are national parks that are a congregating ground for people, and that's just not a good idea. Avoid other areas like Moab comes to mind. I mean, I'm out here in southeast Idaho. Moab's not far. It's a great draw because of the kind of town that it is and the mountain biking it offers. But Moab has put in local regulations saying, don't come here. I understand the same thing has been done on the Outer Banks of North Carolina. So, you know, obviously research before you go anywhere, but as a general rule of thumb, avoid touristy areas. If you're traveling for business, I was reading an interesting article yesterday that a lot of business travelers, rather than fly, are purchasing or renting RVs. And I've got to take this moment to mention I do have a concierge RV buying and selling service. And I would be happy to help any business person or private individual, traveler, who's interested in getting a camper and making sure they get it at the right price. Of course, you can buy new or used, knowing that these things depreciate far faster than cars and trucks. Used is generally what I recommend for people. And that's something that I can provide to you as a service. And again, the link will be over on my site. I also am going to link you to a rental service. It kind of works like an Airbnb where you're renting from a private individual rather than from a fleet of rental units. And I know that in light of coronavirus, they have modified their service somewhat, but the link I have will get you a discount, or should get you a discount, on your first rental with them. And I think long-term rentals are fine as long as it's an agreement between you and the renter and the rentee and the renter, rentee, whatever it is. But the person renting it to you, they, like I say, they're private individuals, so they can probably set their own terms and conditions. If you're a business person and you need it to travel and you'd rather not be in a plane right now, and you're trying to figure out, how can I travel? How can I know that I've got a clean room for tonight, a clean bed, my own food, my own kitchen, my own bathroom? And just like living in your own home, you have that all pretty well sanitized so that you're not at risk of putting yourself out there for unnecessary exposure to the virus, like potentially in a motel or a hotel room, or going into a restaurant for takeout or whatever it is. I know that very few restaurants now are sit-down opportunities any longer. Anyway, this has been running on long enough. I wanted to share this stuff with you, and I'm going to get this video processed, get a quick post put together at rvacrossamerica.net/travel thoughts. And hey, I thank you for watching. If you find this information useful and valuable, feel free to subscribe, to like. On my site, you can always subscribe to my newsletter. And I don't spam anybody. I just send out notifications when I have something to say. All right. Thank you. Have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon.